Hey, Pearson.
Hey, Calvin.
Pearson, did you know that WNURsports.com does more than just article writing?
It does? Please tell me more.
WNURsports.com also has a radio station.
Man, it's almost like people are listening to it right now.
That's right. And on Sundays from 7 to 9 p.m., you can tune in to WNUR Sports to hear our station members give you three electrifying shows right here on the Sports Block.
Only on 89.3.
And once again, we are back to On the Clock with Charlie Jacobs. I am Charlie Jacobs. I'm your host. This is my last episode of the quarter as we are ending school very soon here. And I have a recurring guest who's been here a bunch and actually a first-time guest of the show. So say hello, everyone, to Matt Campbell and Brendan Preisman. Brendan, it's really good to have you finally joining us. It's great to have you. Third junior, actually. But you are graduating early, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And I think we're just going to hop right into it. We're going to do an NBA mock draft here. I'm going to start with pick number 1. Matt, you're going to go pick number 2. Brendan, you're going to do 3, and we're just going to cycle it in. Pearson may join us at some point, and we'll figure it out when he does get here. But other than that, yeah, let's get into it. Number 1, any guesses?
Probably the Duke guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tall kid from Duke.
Yeah,
I think he played for like Montverde or something.
The one from Maine.
Cooper Flag. We talked a lot about him on here, and I don't even think there's any explanation needed.
I think
that
if that wasn't the first name that came out of your mouth, a lot of viewers would have a big problem with you. So
I would, I would not be the most popular person. Matt, you're up. Pick number 2. You're Brooklyn. No, you're Brooklyn. That's right. 8. The San Antonio Spurs.
oh, okay, the Spurs. This is a little. I'm gonna go against the grain a little bit. Dylan Harper is the consensus number 2, but I feel like Ace Bailey to the Spurs would create a lot of problems because there's so much that creates so much dynamic systems between Bailey and Wembanyama because you have these are two tall point forwards in a sense. They're essentially like aliens when it comes to basketball and the prototypical bigs in basketball. These are point forwards. They could run the floor, they could run the point, they could be your typical big man. So Ace Bailey, number 2. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't think we were going to get a shock, but I mean, in the NFL mock draft, there was a shock right away, and it ended up being true. So, Brendan, you're up now. Pick number 3.
Okay, so with Philly, it's tough because I know they've already got Maxey and McCain. So they're pretty set at guard, but this is a very guard-heavy draft. The only 2 options here, I think, are Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, and both of them are really good guards. I think for me, the question is, how good's the defense? Because I think Maxey and McCain are both kind of iffy on that end. So I'm going to do another shocker, and I'm going to take VJ Edgecombe here at 3.
Really? Wow. That is a shocker.
I'm very high on Edgecombe.
I mean, he did have a great combine, and usually the combine doesn't do much in the NBA, and this year it actually might have. So VJ Edgecombe, surprised Dylan Harper still on the board, and not for long is Charlotte at 4. Would swipe in, take him, pair him with LaMelo Ball. Got 2 6'6", 6'7" point guards that could really distribute the ball and also can shoot. So yeah, Charlotte at 4, and Matt, now Utah at 5.
Okay. This is where it gets kind of interesting because I would obviously think Utah is taking a guard. It's going to be between Trey Johnson and Jeremiah Fears. I'm going to go Jeremiah Fears because of the defensive perspective. His defense is a plus, and I feel like that's something the Jazz would use. And I feel like that's just a much safer option than Trey Johnson. I feel like Trey Johnson's floor is just so low in the league. It's just not worth it. So Fears to the Jazz. That's what I got.
Oh, okay. Brendan, now you have Washington at pick 6, Calvin's hometown team.
Yeah. While I do agree with what Matt is saying about some of the weaknesses for Trey Johnson, he can create his own shot. He created his own shot in the SEC as a freshman, almost 20 a game, led the SEC in scoring. I mean, he's a walking bucket, and you don't often get a rookie who's a walking bucket. And I think with Washington, they've got the youth movement going anyway. They've got a lot of fun young players. I think they're a kind of a team on the rise, and I feel like he could be a good spark plug off the bench.
And I do agree. I think for Washington, it's either you go big man or you go with that guard, because as we've been talking about, this is a very guard heavy draft, at least at the top. There are a lot of bigs with very high potential as we go down the board. But I even think Trey Johnson, there's a chance he goes 3. If it goes Dylan Harper at 2, like I think there's a chance with this shooting upside he has for Philly, that if Philly is like, let's take a shot on this guy who could just shoot the lights out, come off the bench, run the second unit. But that's just my 2 cents. Anyways, New Orleans at 7. This gets interesting now, and I think this is probably where I would think it would be Kaman Maluach of Duke, the second Duke player in the top 10. Maybe not the last, but Maluach is just ginormous, and this guy, I've said this multiple times on this show, that he could have won the MVP of the Final Four if Duke had won the national championship, because as good as Cooper Flagg was, Maluach's defensive impact is just outstanding. And even on offense, he draws in defenders, basically like Zach Edey was at Purdue, in just a little bit of a different way. So we're going to do Maluach at 7 and now 8, Matt, for Brooklyn.
Okay. Question. Are trades a part of this mock draft?
I wasn't planning on it, but if you want them to be, then do you want that, Brendan? Do you agree with that? Because then it might get a little
Depends
wild.
on who he's trading to.
I think the Nets, it's a very real possibility that the Nets just trade their pick in some crazy package. I don't know how this would happen, but I feel like it'll happen somehow. Put their pick in a crazy package and somehow snag Giannis from the Bucks. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I feel like that's like my gut instinct is like they're gonna trade for some kind of superstar because they just need the centerpiece. This Nets team is just like all over the place. So hypothetically, I'm gonna say they trade. I don't think this is necessarily gonna happen, but let's say they trade their pick to the Bucks for Giannis. I think the Bucks would take Con Knuppel because I feel like that draft stock just shot up right after the NCAA tournament. He was crazy in March Madness. He went nuts. Me and you were watching.
Yeah.
Is it Knuppel or Knuppel? Con
Knuppel.
Knuppel. Con Knuppel, the coolest name in college basketball. But like, yeah, me and you were watching this kid, and we were like, "Yo, this guy's
shooting the lights out.
He's shooting the lights out." We were like, "This guy's draft stock is going way up. Like, he's probably the best player on Duke at the moment, like barring Cooper Flagg." But
He had one game there in the tournament where he just took over.
yeah,
And
that's
he
what I'm
looked
saying.
like prime Klay Thompson.
That's what was that the Elite Eight game?
I think so.
It was the Elite Eight game, and so yeah, I feel like he's gonna go top 10. And
We're also
Absolutely.
Matt, with your trade, I'm also going to send number 26 to Milwaukee.
yeah,
and I also might send number 27 as well.
I just looked at like Nets Wire, which is the USA Today Nets site, and it was just like the Bucks get Nick Claxton, Noah Clowney, Keon Johnson, and 6 first-round picks.
Yeah. Should I just at this point send all the Brooklyn first rounds because they have 4 this year to the Bucks?
Probably.
give
Yeah, all
give
right.
us one. Give us one.
And
Man.
You
were the
got
one who made the trade.
Giannis.
You made the trade.
Okay.
So
if you want the second best guy in the league,
now Milwaukee has a lot of picks.
Ton of picks.
Actually,
go.
one of those picks they get back. Anyways, Brendan now at number 9 for Toronto.
okay. This one's a fun pick because I think now is the point where we start getting out of this guy is a sure thing and into this guy's got a high upside but a low downside thing. I'm gonna go with a guy who I saw in person this year and who scared the living daylights out of
I
me.
know exactly. What
Give me
you're talking
Kasparas Yakichonis.
Yep.
Okay,
There you go.
he did, and other than Ace Bailey, he probably looked the best against Northwestern, at least in person.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
he single-handedly kept the Illini in the game.
That was his best shooting game.
there-
It was
there-
the best shooting game ever.
There were some shots where I was like, this is Luka Doncic level. Like
Yes.
that
Is it just because he's European?
No, it was actually
not just because
ridiculous.
he's European, but
Charlie,
like it's
I know
it's a
exactly
good
what you're
comparison
talking
to
about.
make.
I remember
like
that.
if you were there watching the game, for anybody that's listening, if you were there watching the game, like the shots that this guy was hitting was absolutely ridiculous.
he was hitting threes
step back.
with 3
I'm
guys
talking about step back, hand in your face type of shot. Like
with like
shots
with
that-
2 seconds left on the shot clock, like
Yes.
from logo range.
yes, like it was actually
That-
ridiculous.
that's fair.
And
Houston-
also coming into the Big Ten as a freshman
Yeah.
and doing that too.
That is very fair. Houston now at 10, so I think this gets a little bit interesting for sure. especially because that trade really shook things up, even though I feel like the top 9 has basically been the top 9 the whole time. Pick 10 for the Rockets. This could be a lot of different things. And what I think the Rockets
Could be
need,
flipped for Kevin Durant.
I mean, it could. I don't know if they should.
I don't
get
think they
Kevin
should do that
Durant.
either.
No shot.
I think this could be a huge type of upside pick. So you know when you have these guys where it's like, whoa, what are you doing there? It's out of Washington State, Cedric Coward at 10.
Ooh.
Excuse me.
Whoa.
Cedric Coward at 10. This guy has tremendous upside,
Whoa.
and the Rockets in this position could bet on someone's upside because they just got the second seed in the West, and they might make a big move for a player. I don't think it's crazy if they take a guy who could end up being a 40% 3-point shooter when
He definitely fits a guy who is mocked surprisingly high and I know very little about. I'm going to go with get picked very highly in recent years. Victor Wembanyama, number 1 2 years ago. Zach Risache, a year ago, number 1 to the Hawks. Think this could be French basketball's apex mountain, or at least the highest it's gotten since Tony Parker's Finals MVP. And I mean, he's very skinny, but so is Wembanyama. And you know, he doesn't turn 19 until December, but he's been playing in the EuroLeague. And as we've seen with guys like Luka Doncic, if you're that good, that young in the EuroLeagues, you tend to have a pretty solid NBA career.
that is a very good point. Next up, we're going to go to Atlanta. Atlanta at 13. This pick is via the Sacramento Kings. And I'm going to go with Carter Bryant out of Arizona. He's been rising up draft boards. Didn't play that much in Arizona last year because it was behind a lot of that team was a very talented squad led by Caleb Love, obviously. But I feel like Bryant just fits this Hawks team as Clint Capella is getting older. You get another center or just a forward in there. This guy is a little bit undersized to play center, but more of that just 3-and-D wing. Needs to develop more of a shot, but a crazy good defender. And I think the Hawks would really benefit from that. Just keep getting more big wings on that team, especially when Trae Young is your primary ball handler. Next up, San Antonio again.
Okay, so San Antonio would have already taken Ace Bailey, according to my
According
earlier,
to you.
according to me, which probably won't happen, but just throwing it out there. I'm gonna go with a guard that also terrorized Northwestern. His name is Jace Richardson.
Ooh.
I think
I
this.
do kind of like that fit.
I think this guy could be a really good fit on that roster. Think about it: 2 big men, and you have a dynamic guard in Jace Richardson to complement that. I think that could be pretty
I feel
solid.
like he's kind of a Stephon Castle light.
Yeah,
They-
and then
they-
he's
they feel like
working
they've
off
got similar-ish
Stephon Castle.
play styles.
I mean, the one knock on Jace Richardson though is that he's a 6-foot shooting guard. He's like going to be listed as point guard in a lot of places, but he needs to be better. At least his passing needs to improve a little bit if he wants to really be a true point guard. And right now he is more of that shooting guard type, and measuring 6 foot without shoes at the combine did not help his stock. But at the same time, I mean, he was awesome for Michigan State. So I do like
and
that pick,
there's nothing,
especially taking Bailey at 2.
and there's nothing wrong with rotating him and Castle at the 1 and 2. You know what I mean? Like,
And you still have Fox. Like
you still have De'Aaron
you
Fox.
take him.
You'd
You
be
play the Chris
fine.
Paul minutes.
Exactly.
All right, Brendan at 15, Oklahoma City. Jeez.
All right. So, I mean, obviously the Thunder don't really need a ton of help given, just how freaking good this team's been all year, setting like top 10 historic net rating records. But I am going to give them some help anyway for a guy who, if this was real life, we'd say just had a massive, massive slide. And this guy, I think, fits in really well for this Oklahoma City team because of his passing, because he's got pretty good defense, does a really good job getting deflections, getting steals. I'm going to go with Igor Demine. I feel like he'd fit in perfectly as the backup 3 for this team.
Yeah.
And not like they need it, but, he's got some scoring and play creation punch, and that could be really helpful off the bench for this team.
I mean, really, do the Thunder need anything right now?
No.
No.
It's
They
insane
need
what they've
something
done.
taken away.
They need to.
Take
They need
all the
S-
picks away.
They
we
need to
Matt
take
Campbell
away
to make a trade for them.
SGA's. They need to take away SGA's foul calls. That's what they need taken away.
We need Matt Campbell to make a trade for them, and we'll be good. Orlando at 16. So Carter Bryant would have been the pick here, but obviously he's not there, as I took him to Atlanta. This one, because of who's on the board, I'm between three guys. I'm between Asa Newell, Colin Murray Boyles, and what's his name? And Liam McNeely. I mean, it's an interesting one. I think in terms of upside, you go with McNeely. So I'm going to go Liam McNeely. As for UConn, he did. I mean, the shot was falling at times. He had a bit of an up and down season, but still at the start of this draft process, he was mocked very highly, and he's still one of those guys. He had a great season at UConn. Even as the 8 seed, they almost beat Florida, and Florida went out to win the national championship, and he was one of those big reasons why. So Liam McNeely.
Okay, who's after them? The Wolves?
That's a
Wolves.
good take. I think Dan Hurley UConn players are always going to end up being pretty solid in the league.
The Wolves are a bit weird. So you got Anthony Edwards, obviously, and Rudy Gobert, but then you got to think about Rudy Gobert is aging and he's starting to move like a brick, even though he had a really good playoff run.
He did.
But like, this guy's getting
Not
old.
offensively.
Not offensively, but defensively, yes.
You know, he had his career high this season.
Really?
He had a 30-point game. I think that was his career high.
When?
Sometime in the late regular season.
Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway. You need somebody to help out aging Rudy Gobert, but you also need somebody that can shore up the guard positions. So I'm gonna go Will Riley to the Timberwolves.
Ooh, interesting.
He's a 6'8" guard, which I don't know how that's gonna work in the NBA.
There's a bunch of 6'8" guards in the NBA right now.
But like, do you see?
6'9",
I know, but
6'10".
do you see how that could
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons is not in anything.
No, this guy is 6'8", 195. This is nowhere near Ben Simmons type of build. But what I'm seeing is this is a guy that could play the middle ground. He could give you that guard production that you need, and he could also help out down low with Gobert. Not nearly as often. He's not a big. 195 pounds. He's a skinny guard, but still, something is better than nothing. You need, and as he has the potential to grow into his frame a little bit. So
that's not crazy. I actually do kind of like that.
So as he does, like, you can start to see him play down on the block a little bit more on the defensive side. So I think that's like a really solid pick for the Wolves if he's still on the board.
All right, so we'll do Will Riley there. Brendan at 18.
All right, so I'm back to the Wizards again. I already got him Trey Johnson to continue building a very crowded backcourt. So I'm going to go with a forward this time. Can't believe this guy's still on the board. I'm going to go with Colin Murray Boyles.
That I would
think he could be a great backup 3 or 4 for them. Great defender. Shooting's a little bit of an issue, but if he plays the 4, that's going to be less of an issue. So I think he'd be a solid fit for that team.
Yeah, and I do like that there for Washington, as they just kind of need all the help they can get. And Alex Sarr did show promise as the season went on. I will say that. Now would have been Brooklyn, but it's Milwaukee thanks to Giannis. And I'm going to go at this point. You trade away Giannis. You take Knipple earlier. Why not take Danny Wolf here? As he can maybe be that Giannis replace. Obviously, you can't replace Giannis. Giannis is one of the best to ever do it, and I'm not saying that lightly. He really is. But Danny Wolf just feels like such a perfect fit for a team that Brook Lopez is probably leaving in free agency. Giannis might get traded, and in this case, why not take someone who can play power forward, who can play center, or if you want, he could play point guard at 6'11".
I don't think he should.
Point guard is comical.
I don't think he
for
should,
Danny
but he
Wolf.
could.
Okay.
All right, Miami now.
The Heat. Okay. Walter Clayton time, guys. Walter Clayton to the Heat. And I say that.
That's a good Heat pick.
And I say
That's just
that
a Heat pick.
because you don't need a big. You got Bam Adebayo. Tyler Hero's a shooting guard. You need somebody that can play the point. I know Walter Clayton's more of a shooting guard type of build, but still, I feel like with his skill set, he has the potential to develop some ball handling skills that can help out the Heat. A Clayton Hero backcourt sounds scary for a defense,
Yeah, no.
especially on the perimeter. If you don't play good perimeter defense and you have Clayton and Hero on the court at the same time, you're in trouble.
Fair enough, but we have to see though if the defense there would work. Brendan, you got Utah now.
Yeah, Jazz obviously really wanted the number 1 pick, fell all the way to number 5 after a season of tanking. And they feel very much like a team that would want developmental players, and that is why I'm going to go with a guy who didn't start playing basketball until this decade. Joan Berenger, center from France. super athletic guy, great potential lob threat for whoever the Jazz's point guard is. It could be like 4 different players. I mean, the fact that he's got so much room to grow obviously hurts because like there's going to be some growing pains, but I feel like the Jazz are weak enough in front court depth that he could get those growing pains out right away, and I feel like that's what you want to do with developmental rookies in the same way the Bucks did with Giannis, since we've been talking about him so much on this podcast. Like, they let him get a ton of heavy minutes. Jason Kidd played him at point guard a little bit in like 2015 to help him develop like a more all-around game. And I think the Jazz have the opportunity to let Behringer do the same thing.
All right, now for Atlanta at number 22. Last time up, I had them take Carter Bryant, and I got him again. This time I'm going to go with Nolan Traore. At the start of this draft process, there were people mocking him in the top 5, and he just fell way down. He didn't have the best season. This guy, Frenchman, played on St. Quentin. That probably means nothing to any of you, but still 6'3" guard, scored just under 20 points per game, and good passer. And I think this is what the Hawks could use off the bench as a second unit point guard.
All right, who's next? The Pacers.
Indiana.
Pacers are next. Okay.
Really don't need anything either.
Like they low-key need a big, but they are the Pacers, so I don't care. I think Liam McNeely to the.
I already took him.
You took Liam
went to
McNeely.
Magic. McNeely went to Orlando.
McNeely's long gone.
Okay, I am gonna go with a guard. So, this is intriguing. Drake Powell from UNC. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I don't know much about him, but I think the Pacers are like shifting to a guard heavy team, especially after what they did to the Knicks in the playoffs.
No, it's all right. The series was over after game 1, and everyone knows that.
That's what I said. But yeah, I feel like the Pacers is a guard heavy team. I think that's their identity. They already have Siakam. They have Miles Turner. I mean, Miles Turner's aging, but Miles Turner's not bad. You know what I mean? So why not add another guard? Drake Powell, Pacers.
All right, Brendan, you're up. Oklahoma City again.
All right. I'm going to go with a guy who ESPN says could be a viable plug-and-play bench option for any team that needs immediate wing help. Do the Thunder need immediate wing help? No.
Sure.
But also, this guy's just got a great name, in my opinion, Nick Clifford.
Nick Clifford.
Nick Clifford, just great name. Colorado State, so great vibes. Defensive versatility, well-rounded offense. That fits the Thunder perfectly because, their thing is basically 4 guys who can switch on the perimeter and make your life miserable, and then a really great defensive center behind them. Perfect ecosystem
could even
for him.
switch too.
Yeah, and so can Holmgren. So, adding another 6'6" guy with insane length is just, another straw to break the camel's back for anybody dealing with the Thunder.
Well, yeah, I do really like that pick, and we're gonna do these last 6 a little bit faster. But at pick 25, Orlando, I think now if Asa Newell, he's still on the board, you got to take Asa Newell out of Georgia. I mean, this guy again as a freshman, one of the leading scorers in the SEC, and he was just a dog, literally a bulldog, but still, he was just one of those guys. So Asa Newell, 6'10", power forward, averaged 8.5 rebounds last season.
Okay, next pick.
Milwaukee
again. Back to back Milwaukee because of my stupid trade. Okay, I'm gonna go with Aussie Alex Tuhey. Is a forward, 6'8", 223 out of Australia. The Bucks probably wouldn't need him, but seeing as Giannis is out, I mean, it's a value pick. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't just take another forward.
All right, Brendan.
Um,
Next Milwaukee.
I'm going to go with Noah Penda, another international guy. Can't shoot the ball incredibly well, but good switchable wing, good driver, kind of like Giannis was, both as a prospect and currently, guy who can really attack the hoop and slash, but doesn't really have much to offer in terms of outside shooting yet. I mean, if Milwaukee's trading Giannis with Dame's Achilles injury, this is just going to be a rebuilding, suffering type of year. So you want a guy who you can throw into the fire, similar to my Utah pick, and just, give the guy some reps.
So now final 3 picks. Next up, we have Boston. And this pick, I mean, there's one guy who should not still be on the board, but I don't know if Boston takes him. I mean, Thomas Sorber probably should have been gone a little bit earlier. The guy out of Georgetown, the freshman who was just awesome before he got hurt. But I don't know if this is the right pick for the Celtics because we saw in the playoffs that when Porzingis was banged up and not playing as much, yes, Luke Cornett had some good minutes, but they really needed big man help. So as much as Sorber is good, as Sorber's a big guy, he's kind of this Al Horford frame. I'm gonna go with Maxime Reynaud out of Stanford, 7'1.5", 2, whatever you want to call it. This guy is ginormous, and his stock is skyrocketing. Also, want to shout out of China, Hansen Yang, because he would have been the other guy here if I didn't take, if I didn't have what's his name, if I didn't have Reynaud going. But also, still want to shout out Sorber because I feel like he should be going here.
Okay. Phoenix at 29. Back to the Big Ten. I'm gonna go with the guy that effectively ended Northwestern's season, and I'm gonna take John Tonje. I can't believe that Charlie knew that I was gonna say that. He is almost like he's reading my mind. But like, I feel like Phoenix would definitely use a spot up shooter. They're gonna need a guard, seeing that everybody's basically out of Phoenix after this season. So Tonje at 29. That's what I got.
All right, Brendan, end us off. Your LA Clippers.
Yeah. We ran Ben Simmons as the backup 5 in the NBA playoffs in the Big 2025.
Did I write it incorrectly?
Well, that's not the guy I'm picking.
Oh.
And that was really upsetting to me. So I'm going to go with a guy who played for another team that's really close to my heart, my hometown team, the Creighton Blue Jays. I'm going to go with Ryan Kalkbrenner, 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, developed a really scary outside shot over the course of his time with Creighton. And if you watched the first round game against Louisville, he wrecked their offense completely. Like
despite the loss.
Yeah. Well, they beat Louisville. They lost in the second round.
Yes.
He cooked them.
Like by the second half, Louisville would not drive. That's the type of guy I want on my roster.
That is fair. And the Clippers right now, I mean, you got to get these younger guys. I mean, Sorber still on the board, surprising. Ben Saraf still on the board. But that's the thing. There's going to be guys in this draft who aren't taken because it's just that deep of a draft class. But that'll do it. We went pick 1 through 30 in 30 minutes. So, I mean, pick a minute. That's really impressive. Thank you guys for joining me. It's been a pleasure, everyone, for hosting this show, for hosting On the Clock here with me, Charlie Jacobs. Matt and Brendan, thank you. Matt, especially for coming on all the weeks. Brendan, thank you for joining us for this final episode.